pictures of jobs and things like that, not only will it help conversion and personalize the website, it'll also help Google see that there's unique photos, which they can tell, and it'll help your optimization. It'll even, the photos that are custom even will tend to show up better in search rankings, and if they're coded well like we do here, then they'll show up in your organic search rankings and all that, and all these things will help you convert a client better.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of like plumbing websites you're going to look at, they use stock photos, and it's the same stock photos that you see over and over and over. And not only does Google know that, but your potential customers know that. They go there and they see the same, if they see the same goofy looking dude in blue coveralls and a hard hat, because for some weird reason, the people that provide the stock photos are all in Northern Europe.
Like Norwegian plumbers.
Yeah, it's all these blonde-haired, blue-eyed plumbers
Denmark.
in these royal blue coveralls, and they're all wearing a hard hat.
Yeah.
Like, who wears a hard hat?
And we all know they're not American.
Yeah,
but
we know immediately that it looks weird, and your customers look at it, and they get confused about who you are.
Hey there, guys. It's Nolan and Jason.
Hey.
For Plumbing Webmasters, and we're going to talk about website layout tips for plumbers. And since Jason's creative director here, he may do most of the talking here, but
For a change.
Yeah, for a change. You want to start with number one?
Yeah. First one, very important, call to action. Call to action, it's actually a pretty simple concept. It's just something that tells the user to do something. And that's call you, fill out a form, come see us, click here, whatever it is. You're trying to get them to start the steps toward reaching out to you in whatever is your preferred way of getting business. Usually for you guys, it's going to be a phone call, obviously. What I've seen, there's been this weird trend in web design for like the last 2 years to minimize the size of the phone number and put it's at the top, but it's like small.
Right.
And they've got to be able to see it.
That's
they got to be
crazy.
able to see it. If they're on mobile, they got to be able to touch it so they can call.
Right.
And it's got to be very obvious. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be in some nasty garish color that looks horrible or anything like that, but it should be very obvious, and it should be extremely legible.
Should be above the fold at the top of the site.
Yeah,
right?
it should. Ideally, it should be at the very top of the site, and it should pin so that when someone scrolls, it stays there all the time.
It should be at the bottom too, right?
Obviously,
people,
yeah.
People expect it.
It should be at the top, pinned. It should get repeated throughout the content, and it should be reiterated at the bottom. So it should be the first thing and the last thing they see.
A call button instead of I know those still don't work sometimes on mobile device. So.
On most mobile devices, they do these days.
Yeah.
And heck, if you code it right, and we do. If you're on even a desktop and you click that, it'll actually try to open up like Skype, or if you have any kind of calling program on your desktop, it'll try to make the call right there. So if it's done right. So
number two is just the general structure of the design, and I guess that can go into a lot of different topics.
Yeah, that's kind of a broad topic there. Structure is just how everything about your company and your services is presented to the viewer. The basic information about your company, the branding, means like the logo and the name, stuff like that, should be really obvious. You don't want them being confused about who you are. You don't want them being confused about what you do. So after a call to action, that information should also be right there at the top. And that's where you should very quickly and concisely present your primary services and your service area, where you are, what you do. It's like it's marketing 101 stuff, but it still applies. Where you are, who you are, where you are, what you do. Those
services and icons, and I think it helps that obviously that we focus with plumbers because we know how to structure that better, how to integrate it, how to integrate your services, the different icons and logos and things in your industry pictures.
Yeah, industry associations or brands you use. If you, like we have a lot of plumbers that like to focus on water heaters.
Right.
And you want that right up there at the top if that's your focus. You want to be seen as the person that provides that service.
Yeah,
right
even
away.
some of the other, it can go the other way, and it can get into hordes of services, and all that needs to be tabbed out properly in the top.
Right.
And you can have multiple categories, and it can just help draw visually the potential client into your services easier. So if they're hidden in some sort of weird folder or inside the site, or not, they don't have a tab represented for them, or if it's a massive category that you have to click on something else to get to, those things can all cost you conversion.
Right.
And structuring helps with that immensely. It kind of leads into number 3 for personalization, and I'll talk about this for a minute.
Okay.
We almost never get this from anybody. I don't mind. We'll still optimize you. It's just that from a layout standpoint, from a website layout standpoint, these sites optimize better with personalized photos. We'll still optimize it. They just get better when there's personalized photos, pictures of one guy in a truck, 2 guys in a truck, 30 guys and 20 trucks. If we can have those pictures and even some pictures of jobs and things like that, not only will it help conversion and personalize the website, it'll also help Google see that there's unique photos, which they can tell, and it'll help your optimization. It'll even, the photos that are custom even will tend to show up better in search rankings, and if they're coded well like we do here, then they'll show up in your organic search rankings and all that, and all these things will help you convert a client better.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the vast majority of like plumbing websites you're going to look at, they use stock photos, and it's the same stock photos that you see over and over and over. And not only does Google know that, but your potential customers know that. They go there and they see the same. If they see the same goofy looking dude in blue coveralls and a hard hat, because for some weird reason the people that provide the stock photos are all in Northern Europe.
Like Norwegian plumbers.
Yeah, it's all these blonde-haired, blue-eyed plumbers
Denmark.
in these royal blue coveralls, and they're all wearing a hard hat.
Yeah.
Like, who wears a hard hat?
And we all know they're not American.
Yeah,
but
we know immediately that
Right.
it looks weird, and your customers look
Right.
at it, and they get confused about who you are, because they've seen the same photo everywhere, and they're like, well, is this the same company or what? And
so-
if you have your own stuff there, it immediately pops out of, oh, this is a real plumber. This isn't just a front for somebody else.
It's become a very social society.
Right.
It's just, we're talking about a website and search engine optimization, but it's still social. It's human to human stuff, and they want to see personalization. And if you don't provide it for them, they're going to not only optimize slightly lower, but you're going to lose conversion because they can't personify with anybody at your company or make a connection. If they can make a connection and feel like they know you, it'll actually help the website look better, and and guys, you don't have to do anything more than just a photo to put on the primary homepage.
Yeah.
It can just be that, and that photo can, and if I had to pick one photo, it would be, we have one guy that it just has 2 or 3 people in front of one truck.
Right.
And oddly, that company is huge, but that's the photo we have, and it's personalized.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a great photo. Yeah.
Just grab your cell phone. Everybody's cell phone has a great camera in it. Have somebody take a picture of you in front of your truck with the logo on the side. That's so much better than a stock photo. I can't even put it into words.
I think one of the photographers here, or one of the designer, IT guy that is a photographer, says that when you have to have the sun kind of up at 12 o'clock, basically, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to do it.
I wasn't going to get too technical on the photography.
Well,
stuff.
you really seriously, you have a good camera phone and good camera on your phone, and if there's no shadowing, just take a picture, take several, and then we can pick one.
Yeah, just try to make it so you're not squinting or your eyes aren't closed or nothing like that.
Number 4 is review integration for the website layout.
This is becoming more and more important.
Yeah.
You need reviews. You don't just need the reviews to exist over on Google and Facebook, or even self-hosted reviews in a page on a tab somewhere. You should have your ratings and some of your reviews showing right there on the home page. That should be one of the things that people see as they scroll through
Right.
and find out about you immediately. And that can be, sometimes we'll do things where like one review will be shown, it'll rotate through several.
Right.
Some people will have like, anywhere from 3 to 6 showing there, and like in a grid, and maybe those will rotate.
You can have a
through
whole
as well.
tab, a tab for reviews.
Yeah, and there should be there should be a whole tab for reviews, but you should also have some
So
right on the homepage.
these aren't all third-party reviews, guys. Someone asked me last week, because we have a little module that we give that brings the reviews from Google, Facebook, and around the web to the tab. And the guy said, should we get rid of our service where we have nothing but third-party reviews? And I'm like, probably. It depends on how we're going to integrate them in. You can use some of them for something called aggregate star ratings, but beyond that, I find them slightly worthless. I know that the review companies are trying to sell them because it keeps them in business longer.
Right.
But nobody cares about these goofball third-party reviews sites anymore.
Google likes the reviews you get yourself that are hosted on your site.
Yeah.
They like their own reviews. They show some respect to Facebook, and they show a little respect to Yelp and Home Advisor.
Right.
And everything else is sort of also ran.
Yeah, I think the client knows that the other reviews, they're goofy and potentially baked up by the business owner.
Right.
Yeah, so they trust the primary review sites. Some of the third parties can be good if they're utilized properly and code base for aggregates to show the 5 stars up next to your organic search rankings on your own website. Number 5 is links, and what I mean by links for the website layout is just people still don't have proper links to the different review locations, their social media, and other things that they want to link out to from the website.
Yeah. It goes beyond just the main site navigation, which obviously should be easy to find and easy to use. I think it goes without saying, or I hope so.
Yeah.
But you have, like he said, you have links out to review sources, you have links out to social media. Links can also be things like, because various areas of your homepage can be doorways into other parts of your site. One of the things we do is we get with the client and we figure out what the primary sort of services they want to provide, the ones they prefer.
Right.
And we'll put some boxes right up above the fold that instead of having to go up through the navigation and find those pages, it's a shortcut directly into that page on the site.
Yeah, it's a little, what's it called? Structured, I forgot the name of it. The schema code that does the...
it's service schema.
Service schema.
Yeah, so it delineates the service. It says this is a URL to talk about it. This is what the service is called, and yes, we offer it. And it can even put in price points if you want.
This episode isn't really about schema much,
But it comes up a lot anyway.
but the better this website layout and structuring is done, it is going to help the search engine optimization for you. So it's going to help you show up better. Gosh, I did number 6 already when we went into
we already
pictures.
kind of talked about pictures when we were talking about personalization. Those are linked.
Okay.
But pictures, beyond just having unique pictures should, from a layout standpoint, they should be used to break up the other elements.
Right.
You should have, because if people just have a huge block of text content or a big grid with a bunch of icons and links, it gets tiresome pretty quick.
Right.
And so you should use pictures to break up and accentuate all of the everything else on the page,
Right.
to call attention or to move you, kind of move you through the page the way you want them to, how you want to present it and how you want them to see
And
things.
they can be coded as well for optimization purposes.
Right,
By the
right.
way. So number 7, and this may be the last one unless we have other stuff on here for website layout for plumbers, is content. Now, I'll talk about this a little bit because it's, if you're looking at I threw it on there because if you're looking at the website layout itself, a lot of times we're talking about website layout as it relates to functionality and proper optimization and conversion.
Right.
We're not talking about website layout, not that they shouldn't look good. Our sites are very aesthetically pleasing, but we weren't talking about the aesthetics of it as much. We're talking about conversion and practicality.
It looking good is such a kind of a basic thing. It's got to look good or no one's going to look at it. So
Right.
it's not, it's just
But content
fundamental.
doesn't help things look good. It's the problem, I guess, and
Not unless you use the other elements.
So the other elements, even using the other elements, will just, when you talk, we need to do a whole series about how to write perfect content again too.
Yeah.
But when that content is right now is extremely structured, extremely deep, which means lots of words, and it scrolls down. And the two primary examples that people seem to always bring up with this over the years that I've talked to them is people like Apple's Apple Computers website, and they like BMW and stuff like that. But there's those two websites basically have no content. And so since you're not a brand online, you have to have content. Right. And it does take away from some aesthetics, right?
Yeah, we occasionally get clients who will take the site we've built for them, and they're like, well, it's really wordy.
It's wordy.
And it's like, yeah, you're not wrong, but it kind of has to be.
It has to be wordy.
And we try to use these other elements. We'll have some textual content, and then we'll break it up with an area showing reviews or an area showing top categories with links, and we'll break it up with pictures,
numbering,
and stuff like that.
Bullet points, pictures,
just formatting, properly.
Paragraphs or maybe tabs inside of it somewhere on the page, right? So, guys, you got to have content and lots of it. You can structure that content for beautification purposes. It will slightly detract from that, but without it, you won't be found online.
Right.
It is still the basis for the keyword click or the map ranking.
Yeah.
So,
no offense, but you guys aren't Apple or BMW.
Yeah. No.
If you were, please call us.
That was that was the point. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know what we call it. Like I don't know, agency webmasters or something. I don't know. But yeah, so I hope that helps. You got anything else to add for website layout tips for plumbers?
No, I think we covered it.
Guys, that was just a more of aesthetics. If you want to look into the code base of it, it's very important as well.
You know what? I will say one thing.
Okay.
Don't get drawn in too much with a lot of animated elements. Yeah. They're fine and all, but if animated elements on a web page are not performing a real function, if it's just something jiggling or sweeping in or whatever, if it's not directing the user to do something like call you, or helping them to understand something so that they call you, it's just there just to look cool, and it doesn't really perform, it doesn't really have a purpose. And in fact, having all of the kind of script that makes that stuff happen actually slows the site down and lowers your optimization.
It does. I've got one other thing to add too that made me think about that when you're talking about it.
Okay.
It's really difficult to have the call to action done properly, the logo to look well, the structuring and proper links and reviews, and the pictures all added in well, structured content on template websites.
Right.
So we do custom websites for plumbers here, and the customizing of the website allows us to put in whatever we want. If a client wants to add something, we're not sitting here with no human resources that don't, we know how to do stuff. Right. And so if we need to add in something, you call most of these so-called plumbing SEO or plumbing companies that do online marketing, and they don't have the human resources to do the things you want. So often I get people with website layout issues, and they're like, well, they tried to add pictures, but it looked wonky or weird
everything
time.
All of a sudden was overlapping, and the text was unreadable.
My logo's up here in this white box, even though it looks weird and bad, because that's the only place they can put it. And I'm like, well, sir, that's because it's a basic template, and the people that are trying to make the change have no skill sets in which to do so.
Yeah, it's someone who doesn't actually know how to do a website, and they've just got a template where they said, they uploaded, well, this is the logo, and the template pops it up there at the top left with no options or ability to do anything else to it.
It looks awful. It hurts your conversion, and all this, the lack of the ability for the layout actually helps your search engine optimization as well.
Right.
The fact that it's a template in and of itself affecting all these things, and the code base behind it that he was just talking about causes you issues. So we do provide complete customization. Really anything you want. We have a certain style and flavor that we like when we do a layout, but If you want to show us several that you like and tell us what little elements you'd like of each, it's completely customizable and 100% guaranteed, or you don't have to launch with it when we do it.
Right.
So every once in a while we do something radically different because the client requests
Yeah, they come in and they
it.
say they want something like this. Okay, we'll give you something like that.
Yeah. So call us when you're ready. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.